Hey, how's it going? So, I actually pay for a couple different music services. I buy my music through Bandcamp, like if it's a video game OST or something like that. I pay for a subscription with Spotify. I've done that for a few years now because I've used Spotify for probably, actually now, yeah, now probably 9 years, 10 years. Yeah, my account actually has like my music taste going back to elementary school. That's how wild it is. Um, and then there is also Apple Music that I, for some reason, pay for. I'm not too sure why. Because I hardly use it. Oh, and I guess also Apple YouTube Music is another thing, but yeah. I mainly, that's just YouTube Premium. Anyway, let's look at my tastes in music. Because, oh, Jesus Christ. Go away, cookies. I don't want this. Always active. I can't change that. Confirm. It's only available on the Spotify mobile app. Oh, god damn it. It's some random ghost. Hopefully, this will not get corrupted. Alright, so now you're looking at my phone. Your 2022 Wrapped is finally here. Jump in. Jesus Christ! Hey, future me, a couple of things before getting into the Spotify Wrapped. This is basically just a music suggestion video or recommendation video. This is what I've listened to and what I would probably recommend to you guys if you like the type of music I like. I don't know. I also want to point out that Spotify, I actually wasn't listening to a lot of Spotify this year. I was pretty much getting a lot of my music through YouTube. This isn't the full picture of what I listen to. This is maybe half the picture. Now, you want an even worse picture, well, we'll get to that later on in the video, but at the end of the video, this video is kind of in 3 segments. Third segment, I'm going to just recommend some music that I definitely have listened to this year to you guys. So stick around for that. Anyway, without further ado, car seat headrest. Oh, I ventured into the genre-verse. Man, this is exciting. I explored a whole 33 different genres. Yeah, I don't think I used Spotify all that much this year. Yes, the very just generically titled rock, hip-hop, electronica. Your morning started with hardcore bliss moody. What the fuck does that even mean, man? Seize the day with charming, nervous, amped. I just hear breakbeats. Whoa, that is even less. Okay. Pause. Jesus. Go back. Okay, so, in the past, I think I've gotten up to almost 40,000 minutes on Spotify. I haven't listened to less music, but I think I've just listened to less music on Spotify this year because there's been a trend the past couple of years where I just listen to more music on YouTube than Spotify. Apparently, my most listened to thing was a Radiohead song. I played 1,800 songs. Wow. Okay, most played songs. Huh, I really didn't use Spotify this year, did I? Okay, Kid A in Rainbow's OK Computer. Top 3 Radiohead albums, in my opinion. Now that said, I'm not too surprised that Radiohead showed up in 4 out of the top 5 songs I listened to this year, but I am a little surprised that it was from In Rainbows and not like a mix of the 3 albums, but whatever. Oh, yeah, no, 46 and 2, I genuinely have just had that thing on loop for the past month, but again, that's how little I've actually used Spotify this year. The year couldn't be contained in a playlist, but we tried anyway. Okay. Yeah, sure, add to my library. Alright, you listened to 496 artists this year. That's incredible. Of course, Tool was the most listened to. Yeah, as I said before, I've been listening to a fuck ton of that song. I did just have it on loop for a solid 2 weeks. Your top artist. Wow. Tool. You know what? In the past, I think for like a solid 4 years, it was Pink Floyd. That's a little different. I'm surprised Gorillaz is that high. You had layers like an onion, but you listen to music unlike an onion. Time to meet your, I can't read, your listening personality. Oh god, is this like 16 personalities? The Deep Diver. Isn't that a Dio song? Thanks for spending 2022 with us. Here's your year squeezed into one page. Alright. It's just playing Meshuggah now. Okay, cool. Alright. Here are my thoughts. I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they made a really cool Spotify Wrapped that was, it looked at a lot of the statistics, because that's always my favorite thing with Spotify Wrapped, is really just basically looking at data. That's the thing I like. I look at analytics on my channel after I upload a video. I look at data for research. Just data is kind of cool, okay? It is interesting to look at, honestly, I would want to see the top 10 songs, like most listened to songs of the year. Actually, hold on, that should be one of the playlists. Yeah, your top songs of 2022. Okay, let's look at this. This is 10 hours of music. Alright, so Radiohead, yep, Tool, New Love, Sewer Sluts, The Weeknd, Vicarious, Nude. Go away, TikTok. I'm surprised Hurricane wasn't much higher. What the hell? Yeah, alright, so this is a very underwhelming thing, because I didn't listen to a lot of music on Spotify this year. But I think even the Spotify Wrapped for this year is very underwhelming, because in past years, they've had a lot more data that they showed you. Like, I'm pretty sure that I seem to remember one year that they actually broke it down by artist, where it was the most listened to songs of different artists. I think they even talked about albums at some point, like, oh yeah, this was your most listened to album. You had a lot of cool stuff like that, and there was a lot more variety, it felt, but then this year, it's kind of very underwhelming. Like, I think I've only been recording for just under 10 minutes, so I have to pad out the video a little bit. Okay, you want to know... voice crack. Look, I'm kind of sick right now, so you're gonna have to deal with this for the next couple of days, or, next couple of videos, because I don't do daily videos. Alright, you know what? I got a better thing to do for this video. Why don't I talk about the music I enjoyed this year? Actually, hold on. Apple Music also had one, didn't they? Replay 22. Yeah, let's check this out. Already, I know that this is going to be very mid, just because... Actually, this isn't even going to be very mid. This is going to be terrible. There's going to be nothing on here, because I've only used Apple Music really to listen to my own music on my phone. Specifically for trying out demos. Yeah, so I'm censoring out a majority of all of this. However, you can see that there's like Voxel Memories release candidate 1.1 and release candidate 1 here. What I would end up doing when making my albums is I send out early versions of them to people to evaluate, to have, like, basically so they could give me some feedback on how they sound. But I also needed to evaluate how it would sound through, at the time I had AirPods and then I lost them. That's a ridiculous story for another time. But yeah, I basically was using it to actually hear what the album would sound like to a majority of people that would listen to it. I need to hear what they would sound like on, like, kind of just consumer-grade headphones and earphones. That's why I use Apple Music for it. So I already know that this is going to have one artist on it, and it's going to be Hoshimachi Suisei because of Mark. And me as well. But what ended up happening was when we got into, while playing Apex, it became a joke to just listen to whatever album she has out. So we had that on loop to the point where whenever we had a bad round, I would just restart the song. And we actually got stuck for about 5 rounds on one of those songs. Play your highlight reel. Yep, I figured. This is so loud. This is fucking loud. Oh, no. You know what? I know why this song is playing. Because I have a stupid story with this. How do I have 2,700 minutes on... What? That's not possible. Here's the reason why this song is playing. I once fell asleep listening to this song, and it was on loop. And I think I slept for, like, 3 or 4 hours. So do the math. It's a 4-minute song. Divide 180 minutes or 240 minutes, however long it was, by 4 minutes. So I basically heard the song, I think I calculated like 60 times or something in my sleep. And on top of that, it was an EP, because there were 2 songs on it, or I guess it would be a single technically, but it was an EP on the listing, so it just kept going between the same 2 songs as I'm sleeping. Dan, if you're listening, these minutes made it big. Whew. It's a tenth of how much I spent on Spotify. Every year needs an anthem. Okay. What was it? Okay, maybe it wasn't 60 times, but... I listened to this song one night for 80 minutes. And then the other song... Yeah, 160 minutes. Oh, now it's randomly Pink Floyd. Okay. Top artist. Yeah, go figure I would listen to almost 10 hours of Pink Floyd on Apple Music. In fairness, I think the reason I did that was because Apple Music, I think, technically has better audio quality than Spotify. Spotify I'm just fine with the audio if it's MP3 quality. I'm not too picky. Okay, this is probably a more, honestly, this is a more accurate genre thing than Spotify gave. What is this? I think this is, oh, wait, this is the second song to this, that's right. I know that this is only funny to me, but fuck it, man. It is 4 out of 10. Apple, step your fucking game up, man. I mean, come on. You are like a what? A company with a market cap of like $2.7 trillion or something, and you just made the most basic ass thing here. Like, this wasn't even in the Apple Music app. Like Spotify, but also Spotify didn't have a web version, so you know what? It evens out. But still, why the why is it such a tiny ass little square? It's very clear that this was meant for like a man. You're complete. Okay, here we go. You listened to 200 songs. A few caught your ear. Does it count as listening if I'm asleep? Okay, let me explain myself for a second. I don't let weeb shit touch my Spotify account. Okay? But Apple Music, it's off the table. Like, it can touch it. But it's still funny that Pink Floyd did make it onto this list. Yeah. Yeah, Pink Floyd. Oh, we still got more. You listen to 34 artists. Alright? Yep. Pink Floyd. Shabayan. Yeah, these guys make some good electric music. And Suisei. I need to see what, I gotta see what some of my other friends have. Look, I'm not laughing at the fact that there's an anime woman next to Miles Davis. I'm not laughing at the anime woman. But I am laughing at the fact that Miles Davis is on the same list. You played 48 albums. These stood out. Yeah, I wonder why. Yeah, that... the 38 plays with that, man. Yeah. No, I actually slept listening to these albums a couple times. It was pretty great. Like, electronic noise. It's awesome. Introducing the soundtrack of your year, your replay mix. Oh, really? Really? I wonder what... I get to listen to Template again. Woo! Yeah! Okay, just for the record, because I feel like I need to at least clarify this, I'm not making fun of Suisei at all. I'm making fun of Apple's lackluster presentation when it came to doing a competitive for Spotify Wrapped. At the same time, I'm also just laughing at the juxtaposition of how infrequently I used Apple Music, and that these are just the things that have shined through. Like, I completely forgot that I apparently listened to Dark Side of the Moon 69 times on Apple Music. And then the other thing I'm laughing at is the absurdity of how one night of me sleeping ruined my Apple Rewind. I didn't even know that they started this year until now. So look at it this way if you want. Template isn't a bad song because I was able to listen to it while sleeping and not want to turn it off. Okay, that's a very low metric, but you get what I'm saying. All right, well, since both of those rewinds were kind of mid, let me instead point you over to YouTube. So I have this playlist that I just call Good Music, and all it is music that I like that I've just thrown into a playlist. So what I'm going to do is spend the next couple minutes just recommending music that I listened to this year. that I really liked. So, in no particular order, we have Goodbye to a World, Porter Robinson. I have not listened to anything else of his discography. I probably should at some point. But this was a song that just ended up entering my play loop, if you want to call it that. I'm kind of surprised I didn't actually listen to it on Spotify, because otherwise it probably would have been up there in like the top 10 songs I listened to this year, because I really did play this song quite a few times because it just sounds awesome. Moving on to something completely different. Yeah. If you know this song, you know this song. I'm going to move on. And now for something completely different. Yeah, this is a really cool cover of the Beatles song Yesterday, being sung by Ray Charles. That's all you gotta know. It's Ray Charles singing Yesterday. Yeah, so this is I guess it's like a radio recording or something that is actually really good. Whatever. It's a live version of the closing track on their first album, The Loud's in the Comatorium. And this is a particularly cool version because you have a jam session in the middle of it that's about 5 minutes long. And they actually, it's just a great build up to the climax at the end of the song. I think it's a better version, actually, of the album version. Okay, this is kind of a random one, but you have to sort of understand how cool this song actually is. So this is a fairly new song that came out, I think, just a month ago. It's good. Like, the song's good, but then what also makes it stand out is all the people that are behind it. So you can already see at the bottom, you have Toby Fox. He, I believe, composed the song. I think Itoki Hano did the lyrics. But then if we go down to the credits, it also has Insane in the Rain doing some of the instrumentals on it. You also have Family Jewels that did some more of the instrumentals. The video was created by Omocat. So, yeah, it's actually... It's kind of wild, the amount of talent that went in behind this video, and it's a great song. I think the best way of describing it is it has that feeling, it has that same feeling after completing a long game that I have yet to find the words for, but yet music has already found the words for it, and they aren't words, it's music notes. Okay, so this is an album that I'm going to spend a couple minutes on because there's a lot that I want to talk about with this album and really this artist that I haven't been able to because I haven't been able to find the time to actually talk about Drowning in the Sewer and Draining Love Story by Sewer Slut. It is also worth noting that this is absolutely an album that was recommended by the YouTube algorithm because I remember a couple years ago actually coming across one of the mixes that this artist made. And I added it to my good music playlist at the time, but I didn't think much of it. And then fast forward to the beginning of this year in recommended, I start seeing some of their music getting recommended. I'm thinking, wait, I recognize their name. So the next thing you know, I end up listening to not one, but two Sewer Slut albums. These two albums that I'm just going to pair together, why I'm showing you Draining in the Sewers, this was not only the first one that I listened to, but I also think it's the better one out of the two. This is an artist that makes music that samples a lot of things, that also kind of pulls from breakbeat, I guess. Some people have said drum and bass. There's also a lot of use of pad synths. There's a lot of cool production that actually kind of goes on. A lot of noise as well with their music. But I think the best way of describing the music is the music matches precisely what you see on the screen right now, where everything is very cold. And even the technically warm colors of the red and yellow from the PlayStation logo in the top left, even those still have, they don't feel warm. I think that is what ends up making this music really good, where it ends up fitting this mood and follows it very, very well. You end up with a lot of music that is cool to listen to, but then you end up with a lot of music that is very, atmospheric, very dark, and at some points disturbing as well. Now, there is something I do need to talk about, though, with Sewer Slut's music. So, to clarify again, I've only listened to this album that you see on screen, Drowning in the Sewer, and Draining Love Story. I haven't listened to any of the albums after, and I haven't listened to any of the albums before. There was a fair bit of controversy that this artist got involved with because of some stuff that they did in their past, and because of stuff that they were doing now under the Sewer Slut identity. Now, I'm going to say this because I think that this is good to preface with everything that I'm about to talk about in the next couple minutes. I think people can change, and I think people can change for the better. but it is all about their own will to change. Can people become better? Can they become better humans? Yes. Do they always? No, because there are plenty of people that do not. They just do not change and they remain just shit people. However, to rule out the possibility of someone that is, say, ignorant, but they could possibly mean better if they were just more knowledgeable. Basically, they don't always have a ill intent. I think it is possible for them to realize the error of their ways and then grow from that. And I think that is precisely what might have been going on with this artist early on, where they were just being a edgelord and eventually realized, yeah, that was a very cringe thing to do. I don't want to do that anymore. So I think that given the kind of context that they were trying to distance themselves from an older identity, they were also, like, they've apologized since then about doing that, and they haven't really done it since, to my understanding. I think it's fair to say that they have changed as a person and that they aren't going to do it again, it being the, like, edgy shit from before. Because at the same time, it also was really clear looking at that they were just doing what they were doing purely to be edgy. And I think that is about in line with what you could probably expect from a teenager. So the second controversy that I do want to talk about is one involving the sampling of disturbing material. So Sewer Sluts sampled a lot of different things in their music because that's just how their music was made. But among the things that they sampled, some of the things were very disturbing. And there have been several criticisms with it. One of them being just sampling disturbing shit to be edgy, to be provocative. Another one is basically in the same vein of profiting off of other people's tragedies and misfortunes. I think that these are definitely valid criticisms. However, I think that they are not necessarily targeted in the right way. Because I think the whole point of the message with their music and their art is about the disturbing side of humanity. On one hand, there's definitely been people that have done more disturbing things with their art, but that's not really relevant to the conversation. I'm bringing that up because I think that is something that I've seen many people talk about, where it's like, well, it's not as disturbing as X. Well, who cares? X isn't part of the conversation. That's one thing I do want to get out of the way. But what I think does add legitimacy to, say, like, a more genuine cause to use these samples is that the message of the music and the point of the music is to convey a certain idea that is disturbing. Because the music, it is critical of themes involving, say, suicide as one specific thing. That is actually a pretty frequent topic in a lot of the music. I think given what is being done with the sample, because it is all about purpose and as well intent at that point, I don't think that there was anything necessarily wrong with some of the theming that went on with the art, in terms of the music, I should say, with this. That's what I'm referring to when I say the art. It is definitely provocative, but I do not think it is done out of malice, and I do not think it is done only to be provocative. I think it is done to be provocative to convey a very specific idea, a very specific emotion. Hell, even just the feeling of discomfort. I think that these are all valid things that need to be able to be conveyed in art, because the world isn't perfect. The world isn't a dream. There are plenty of very bad situations that happen in the world. So if you're making art around those ideas, then there is not only a sense of responsibility that you're going to need when handling these topics, but also a sense of maturity as well. This is all to say that I think the controversies around this artist are a bit overblown. Some of them are legitimate complaints and criticisms, but I think some of them are a bit overblown. But also in terms of making disturbing art, I think that you can make art that is disturbing, and I think given the context of everything, I don't entirely see a problem with what was going on, because I think that the things were done fairly responsibly. So the last thing I'm going to say, because I probably have just spent almost 8 minutes just with a screen cap of this album artwork. This is something I have started to think about a lot, is what is the sign of true art, what is the sign of a good artist, and I think it ultimately comes down to the conversation on things. I think that is the best way of describing it, because as an example with modern art, because I remember a couple years ago talking with all my friends, and we kind of made fun of modern art, like, oh, just take me a banana to a wall. Well, the thing is that if you don't want that to be art, then you shouldn't talk about it. But the fact that it provoked a reaction that was that significant for something that was just taping a banana to the wall, and people still talk about that as a way of criticizing modern art. Well, is that not art in itself? Because that is the conversation that was started from that. On one hand, I think art is completely subjective, but then on the other, I think that if there is some kind of objective metric to it, it should be the amount of conversation to that specific action and piece, because I think that that ends up being a metric of how significant that action was. Because ultimately, if the message, no matter what the message is, what is it that came afterwards? You could have the most beautiful piece of work ever, but if no one gives a shit about it, then so what? But on that same coin, if one person, even like one person, really does like that piece of work and thinks it is the most beautiful thing, well, then who's to say that they're wrong for thinking that? This is an album that hasn't really left my mind like since I listened to it, and it is an album that has taken me a while to actually fucking talk about, because I've needed to figure out the right way of talking about it, even if it is briefly. I think by those two metrics, I guess, I think that this is a great album, because I also like how it sounds anyway, so. Next song, this is a special shout out to my friend Dylan, and genuinely this is a great song. Traveler by Dylan Reyes, or Dylan Harrison as his channel here says. Yeah, Home is also another song that you should listen to. But yeah, this one is what specifically was in my good music playlist. Speaking of Insane in the Rain, this is a cover of Pig Step that I think I had on loop at the very beginning of this year. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. Maybe it was the year before. I don't know. I just know that whenever I listen to the song, whatever, it doesn't matter. Listen to the song. This is a really good cover, and honestly, I would I actually would have thought that this would be the version that would be in the game, because it is that good. It really is that good. Again, shout out to both Insane in the Rain and Lena Rain. Just absolutely incredible musicians and composers, I should also add. Alright, this is a remix of a song from a game called One Shot. I've thought about doing a video on One Shot for a while. Obviously, I can't right now, so there's that. But this is a really dramatic and, frankly, epic re-envisioning of On Little Cat Feet. The original On Little Cat Feet is good as well, but this one is a pretty good one. I'll actually play the original for just a second. I might have used this in one of my videos before. I can't quite remember. Okay, next up is My Way, Frank Sinatra. Just at the beginning of this year, for some reason, I was listening to a lot of Frank Sinatra. And, I mean, I say for some reason, like, that's weird, but no, I think almost any time is a good time to listen to Frank Sinatra. There is a very, like, old school, but also timeless quality to a good Frank Sinatra song that, yeah, I mean, it's, Elvis is over here on the right. It's like a similar thing almost to, like, Elvis or hell, even Queen, where there's always a time to listen to Frank Sinatra. There's always a time to listen to a little bit of Elvis, maybe a little bit of Queen as well. There's always time for that. And yeah, Frank Sinatra definitely in there. Also want to give an honorable mention to this DJ, I think. I'm not actually too sure what this person does. They just remix a lot of different songs into a lot of different genres, it seems. Mostly electronic genres. But yeah, this song in particular, what you're seeing on screen, I actually had on loop for a little while as well. An honorable mention to this, I think, DJ. I'm actually not too sure what this person is, because they just make music and it's in a lot of different genres. Like, you go to their channel and there isn't one genre that they stick to. It's all mostly electronic though, but yeah, anyway. I think that they just mainly make house music, I think. Because I started getting recommended some of their music through Recommended, and yeah, I mean, this was a song that I found and quite liked. Had this on loop for a while, so check this out as well. Maybe check out some more of their stuff as well, because they have a lot of music on their channel. Like, a fuckload of music on here. I can't really tell how much of this is like meme music or how much of this is just like genuine, I guess. There's been some good mixes that I've seen come out of this channel. Okay, so this isn't actually me recommending my time. This is actually me recommending all the other music that I talked about in the Omori video. If you don't know, in the Omori video, the second one I did, I spent a good amount of time talking about the music artists that made the music for the soundtrack. So Bowen, Pedro Silva with Slime Girls, and Jamie Lynn with Clover and Sea Life, and also Space Boyfriend, not Space Ex Boyfriend. Yeah, so I'm just shouting them out again here and saying that you should listen to his stuff because there's some pretty good stuff as well. All right, I think that concludes everything. Subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitter, check out all the music I just talked about. On top of that, sorry, I still cannot get over the Apple Music one, man.